Hey YouTube, what's going on? Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to cover some of my customs that I've been doing, some of my dioramas, but I don't think everything falls under the Gothman's Epic Stuff category. It's too broad. So I'm going to start dicing my YouTube up into different segments. So Gothman's Epic Stuff is still going to be mostly collectible things, things that you buy. Whereas there's going to be a new segment for the stuff that I build. That's going to now be known as alchemy. Because I'm Al, and alchemy is the art of turning one thing into another thing. And my tagline as a joke is turning crap into gold. So let's cue the new intro and check out some customs.
Behold my stuff.
Alright, that was the new intro. It's not much, but it's different. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin this camera around and we're going to go over some of what I have been working on in my downtime between bookwork. So I have found that it is a lot easier to do figure painting and little dioramas and customs with crap you have laying around when you're doing big paint jobs, because you end up with a lot of drying time, especially when you're binding and things like that. So I had a couple of things sitting around and I've wanted them to be displayed for a while. You guys saw the Lou Ferrigno. I did finish the Bill Bixby. You've seen John Mclane. I've done a couple of different things. So I just kind of decided I wanted to redo my shelf, take down the Masters of the Universe backdrop, because I have so much Motu. I'm going to have to come up with a completely different setup for Motu. But I kind of wanted to just show some stuff off. So I'm going to go ahead and spin this around, and we're going to show you a bunch of my recent customs. So let's take a look. All right, so you guys have seen John Mclane and Hans Gruber in my little display for Nakatomi Tower. I'm lighting it with these little handheld neck lights for reading. You guys have also seen the Incredible Hulk. But what you haven't seen is the finished version. So we flocked a floor, put some stuff in. The Battle Standard was nice enough to print me out my little David Bruce Banner gravestone, and we've painted up a custom Bill Bixby. Now, the head is 100% custom. The jacket is Stan Lee's vest, but the arms, body, legs, that's all an Infinity Saga Mark Ruffalo banner, because I wanted that check shirt. The strap is Indiana Jones. The shoes are actually Indiana Jones's shoes. And I repainted the jacket, repainted the pants, so that he matches up with Louis here a little bit. And Louis got some upgrades on his face, but I've drilled up pegs through the bottom, so these guys are attached to this. So that little display is just a nice little display that I can do. Yeah, and honestly, this is like really, really cool for me. I've always wanted this, and now I have this, and I think it displays great. I'll come up with a graveyard backdrop or something for it later, but just having that little stand is better than building a giant diorama. All right, now we're going to get into some of my 1/12 childhood. I do prefer the 1/12 scale. So we've got the NECA Batman, who is, of course, gorgeous. And then we've got the Flash, the John Wesley ship Flash. This is a Mattel figure. It was in bad shape when I picked it up, but these are extremely hard to find. So I did a little zoom backdrop back there and just sort of have him running with some green lightning and stuff. And then, of course, we've got the repainted 1/12 bootleg NECA Christopher Reeves with a 3D printed, repainted stanchion. I'll put some lights in there. And then, of course, we had to repaint Reeves's face. But that's my 1/12, my childhood. You know, these are my superheroes from my era. So I've always been a big fan of 89 Batman, the 90s TV Flash show, and of course Christopher Reeves is my Superman. So I was really happy to start getting a little bit of a 1/12 Justice League together from my era. I may throw a Linda Carter in there if I can get her, but yeah, really happy with that. This is something a little different. This isn't done yet. I'm going to need a much bigger backdrop. I'm going to have to print that on, I believe, an 11 by 17 if I want it to work. It's going to be a pain in the ass. Ideally, I want this like up here so that you catch like that, but I'll get to it at some point. But for the most part, you know, just got the bricks. They go all the way around on the sides and everything. It's nothing too fancy, but my friend, his son made me a custom Last Ronin figure, and it was really cool. It was all fabric and stuff. I swapped out the shoulder parts and the hood. The hood is from a Motu Leonardo Turtles Grayskull crossover, but I really thought I wanted to display him with like his brothers up on the rooftop, even though by the time that Last Ronin shows up, they're all deceased. But I really wanted something to display my NECA turtles. I do think these are the best action figures ever created in terms of movie likeness, minimal joint exposure. I do think the NECA turtles are the greatest figures ever made. And I don't actually have a Michelangelo, so when he gave me a Last Ronin, it kind of just all fell together. I really enjoyed throwing together a quick dio with a bunch of scrap that I had, essentially. But it just photographs really nice, and it displays the turtles well. I don't know if that's its permanent spot forever, but it is just something that I needed in my collection. I needed to have it. I needed a rooftop, and I needed... the floor is actually... Let me get the light in here. The flooring in there is actually roof tile. So it does have a proper texture, but... Man, like, those just look so great with a city drop, but 8.5 by 11 printing just won't cover the backdrop, so I need a bigger backdrop. We'll get one. This one is probably one none of you know. This is my favorite book series by Will White. It's called the Cradle series, and I'm working on finishing this. So this character in the front here with the dead arm and the energy on his hand and a claw. This is Weishi Linden. Down there, the turtle that's on fire, that's Orthos. The little purple guy hovering behind Linden is his mind spirit Dross. We've got Azrael in the background. I don't want to spoil anything, so we'll just go with Azrael. Back there is Zeal. He's not done yet. He needs green horns. He's got a big hammer. And the one with all the red swords coming out of her hands and everything, that's Yeren Aurelius. She is a really badass character. She's made from a bunch of stuff. Most of this stuff is Marvel Legends kit bashing. Yeren's the only one I had to bring in anime figures to complete. Her whole body is an anime figure from Naruto. And then a bunch of Marvel Legends kit bash crap. And then back there is the gate to the Western Labyrinth. So just kind of a fun display for my favorite book series. If you're interested in it, the first book is called Unsold. There's 12 books in the series, I think. 12, 13, something like that. I classify them as young adult. They're not as heavy as like Wheel of Time or anything like that, but they're really good. It's like Dragon Ball Z meets Avatar: The Last Airbender. Get the audiobooks narrated by Travis Baldree. They're amazing. I think he's probably the best narrator I've ever read or heard. And yeah, I really enjoy it. And it's actually getting an animatic and possibly an animated series in the near future. So keep an eye out on that. Sorry, the heater turned on. So this is Dar. Dar from the Beastmaster, and I've kind of created and inspired by, like, it kind of reminds me of the movie poster. Ideally, you want to have the female character there. I believe it was Tanya Roberts who played her. But anyway, Mark Singer played the Beastmaster, and this is a staple of the Wizards and Warriors genre of films. This IP ended up with 3 feature-length films starring Mark Singer and a TV series, which was sort of in the vein of like Young Hercules. Episodic, traveling and solving an adventure every day. It was kind of the same time that the 90s Conan series came out, starring the bodybuilder. His name escapes me. He's like 6'5" or 6'6", big guy. Ralph Moeller, that's who he was. And so this is a repainted turtle rock or lizard rock from a terrarium. The body is a kazar. The straps are from a Mattel Wonder Woman. I believe Batman vs. Superman Wonder Woman, who had the straps. The bag is actually from Indiana Jones. It is Phoebe's bag. And then Kodo and Podo are sticking out, and those are just two little guys that I, chopped up and stuck them out there. So the ferrets are hanging out. Sword is custom 3D print. I found it online. Shirok is from G.I. Joe with a little bit of repaint. The head is custom collectibles. No, it is Carnage Collectibles, I believe it is, on Etsy. phenomenal likeness to Mark Singer. Like, he looks just like him. And then Rue, just a tiger that you get at like Michael's or something, repainted. Nothing too fancy. And then, of course, my generic Dune / Motu backdrop just looks really nice. And he's my featured diorama right now because I really feel like it is the most dynamic look of all the ones that I got. So I gave him the big feature space right now, but I could always cut out a small backdrop and just sort of display this way. I like these bases because they're plastic usually, and you can drill up and create pegs for them so you can peg the feet and stuff. So it does make it transportable and things like that, but really, really happy with Dar. The 2000X Skeletor belt paints up really nice if you grind it down and do some changes to it. It looks great. That wrist strap that Shirok is on, I believe, is a NECA Hamato Yoshi. That's a He-Man strap. He's a hodgepodge of a million different things. Rue, we just sort of hand-painted to make him look exactly the way he does in the film. The first film, he's a painted tiger. The second film, they gave up on that and just went with a full-blown tiger. And that was called Beastmaster Through the Portal of Time. And it's like Motu 87. Like, Dar finds himself going through a portal, and he ends up on Earth, and it's very bizarre. Typical sequel problems. And then they made a TV movie called Beastmaster 3, I think it was Eye of Abraxas or something like that. And it starred the Candyman. He was in it with him, who just passed, rest in peace. And it sort of revisited a direct sequel from 1, which starred Casper Van Dien as his little brother grown up, the would-be king. Very, very interesting IP. I really recommend checking those films out. Like, in typical things like Die Hard, movie 1 and 3 directly relate to each other, and 2 is sort of out there. In fact, 2 is so meta when he's driving around in a Cadillac or whatever with the girl, they pass a movie theater playing Beastmaster Through the Portal of Time or whatever, and he's sort of like, hey, that's me in my movie, and it's very weird. It's sort of like Highlander 2. It's just one of those things we don't talk about, but it kind of is a guilty pleasure. His hair looked the best in Beastmaster 2. But, yeah, really, really happy with the Beastmaster and how that came out. And, starting to build up the shelf of customs a little bit and do some nice displays. And, like I said, Motu will make its way back at some point. I really need to figure out what's going on what shelf and why, but right now, Beastmaster is my prize display, and I'm really happy with how that looks. I'm really happy with how he photographs. So yeah, that's what we've been doing. And that's kind of all the custom displays and setups and my custom figures that I've done. So every one of these displays has a figure that's been customized in some way, shape, or form. None of it is out of the box stock. The John Wesley ship, the skin tones have changed. The NECA Batman is going to get a custom cape, so that's why he doesn't have a display yet, but he will. The Ninja Turtles obviously has that beautiful custom Last Ronin from Cole, which I appreciated greatly. It's such a cool figure. And, taking in a 1990 New Line Cinema Turtle and doing that just opened up a whole idea for me. So that's got that nice rooftop display. And the cool thing about the rooftop is I can use that to display a number of other figures. If I do like a Daredevil or anything like that. Rooftop is very applicable for Spider-Man, all sorts of stuff. New York City backdrops and things like that. So that'll come in handy for future photo shoots and stuff like that. It's sort of an all-purpose thing. I don't want to tailor it too much to turtles, but right now it's displaying those damn beautiful NECA turtles. And I wouldn't even have that full collection if it wasn't from a man, Ryan, who managed to snag me a few of those ones that I couldn't find. And so I think the next figure I really, really want to do and find a really good display for it is Axel Foley, as you see him in Beverly Hills Cop 2 and 3 and Axel F with the Detroit Lions jacket. I really want to do a 1/12 Axel Foley. I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but it's definitely on my list. There are no custom Eddie Murphy heads out there that I have found except at 1/6 scale, and I don't really like the way they look. But I'm going to figure that out at some point, so that'll probably be one that I end up doing. But thanks for checking this out. As I said, alchemy is going to be for anything that I make, and I'm not calling the custom figures recipes, I'm calling them formulas. So if you want the formula for the custom figure, the displays that I do, feel free to reach out, comment below, and I will let you know what it is and how I did it. Maybe I'll start putting the formulas in the description if I start making just individual ones. If you guys want to see a more detailed breakdown of any one of these things that I've shown, more videos on the alien dioramas, any of that stuff, just let me know. Even the Motu stuff, if you're interested, let me know. And I'll consider doing a video specifically on that. I'm not planning on doing a specific video on anything else that I've shown today, unless it's requested. Some people have asked about methodology, and if you want to see how I do stuff, I could do those videos. The John Mclane one didn't really go over so well, and it wasn't really well done. So I don't know how many more like making of videos I want to do, but I could. So let me know. But yeah, alchemy is the art of turning one thing into another. My name's Al, and I turn crap into gold.